had an exhaust leak, so I couldn't get it stopped without thinking I'd had to crank it up and let it run, and I was going to take my welder and hit the little spot holes around my catalytic converter. Well, I'm thinking what I may have done is burnt the ECM up on part of it. I don't know, because the reason being, I never done anything to the EGR valve at all. I did have the clean air valve, or whatever you call it. I can't think of it. Plugs into your exhaust. Oxygen sensor. The back one unhooked while I was welding it. But now I've got the EGR valve comes up as fault code 0403, and then I have a transmission, my overdrive lights flashing, and it runs rough, doesn't want to pull itself. So I'm thinking I may have done something when I was welding it.
Well, that's possible.
It idles fine. As soon as you go give a throttle, it starts puking and gagging and going on.
Right.
I cleared the memory by unhooking the negative cable and putting a jumper wire from the positive to the negative cable for probably 20 minutes while I sat there. First start, I thought I had it whipped because the transmission light wasn't flashing, but then, 10, 15 seconds it started flashing, and I got everything came back just like it was.
So how can I help you? What exactly is your question? What's your specific question?
My question is, do you think that could possibly be what I've done?
Is there a possibility? Sure. Is it likely? No. I think you went from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 0.2 seconds. There are so many things in between replacing nothing. Everything's fine from the vehicle to all of a sudden, oh, we got a bad computer.
Right.
The computer is the last resort. You want to check every single thing else first before you pull the trigger and replace that PCM.
Right.
Period. How much trouble I would get in if I was working at a shop and I just shotgun the computer at this thing, I'd be in big trouble, my friend.
Yep, I can imagine.
But is there a possibility? Sure, it's possible. I've heard that if you do weld on exhaust, you should disconnect the battery, maybe unplug the PCM. There's a slight possibility. Sure, there's a possibility, but you got a lot of other things to look at before replacing that PCM.
I would think if that was actually the case, it would have killed the truck or something while it was doing that.
What transmission code do you have in the computer?
It has code. I've just got a handheld one of them. I don't have a very good diagnostic machine. I've just got one of the cheap, go to the parts store type and bought it.
So, but that's not my question. My question is, what is the code?
Well, 403 is what the code is.
That's the EGR code. You don't have a transmission code?
I did not see one. If not, I may have to go back out and rerun it and see.
Okay. That would need to be done, especially before replacing the PCM. 100%.
Right.
Yeah. What I would recommend that you do is I would probably diagnose one small thing at a time first before replacing the PCM.
Right.
So you have a P0403. I would diagnose and fix the P0403. You might get lucky, and it might be related to the performance issue. Just maybe.
Because it did have a stalling out issue going up hills. You had a spot where you give it throttle, and then it didn't act like it wanted to take off. So you started letting off throttle, and it would go ahead and take off. So I wouldn't call it a surge, but it acted weird. You know what I mean? It's done that ever since I got the little pickup. So now, as far as I've changed plugs, wires, coil, and all that jazz. So
can I give you a recommendation?
Sure.
One thing I would recommend that you check is make sure that the exhaust isn't restricted.
It's not. I've already done check that.
How do we check it?
Well, I put a new exhaust system on it about a year ago, one thing, and I broke the exhaust apart. And
did you break the converter apart or the muffler?
I broke the converter apart.
So it's in pieces right now? The brick inside the converter?
Well, no, it was.
Are you sure?
I gutted the converter is what I've done.
So you took it off the vehicle and gutted it and then put it back on the vehicle. So all that stuff didn't go into the muffler.
Right.
Is that correct?
No, exactly. There's nothing blocking it.
All right.
Because that's originally what I thought was going on. I thought the converter, when I first having this issue of not having power it ought to have, I thought the catalytic converters were plugged up. So I bought a new exhaust system, and then I gutted the back converter the bigger one. And then after this deal here, I actually took the big converter off and welded the bun into, this is all after this deal. I didn't even try to start it when I was working with this pipe up where I took the converter out right. And I welded in a bun, put my O2 sensor back in it. So apparently it had carried through from when I had tried to weld it to start with, and I couldn't get the weld stopped. I just went in and shut it off. I didn't check for how it was running or anything, you know what I mean? Because I couldn't get the leak stopped, what it amounted to. Got a cheap flux welder. I don't have a good welder, just something to just try to get by.
Have you tried unplugging the EGR valve to see if it makes a difference?
No, I haven't.
You can try that. Have you checked the fuel pressure? Right. Have you checked?
Well, I haven't lately, but I had an issue with that. But I replaced the fuel pump and got to 55 pounds PSI fuel pressure. But I haven't checked it for this deal. But
well, then I would recommend that you check it, especially before replacing the PCM.
Right.
You can check engine vacuum. Make sure the engine is breathing good. You should see about 19 inches of solid, steady engine vacuum at idle.
Right.
You're going to want to make sure there's no air or vacuum leaks, because this thing's got a mass airflow sensor, doesn't it?
Right.
So not only the mass airflow sensor goes bad all the time on Fords, but if there's a vacuum leak, anywhere that air can come into the engine that's not accounted for by that mass airflow sensor, and it will cause a severe lean condition. So you can check those as well.
My main thought was about the ECM more than anything.
Well, right, and we're addressing that. So like I said to begin with, you got to check everything else first before going. Here's the thing. Listen, there is no one specific test that you can run in a blink of an eye that says, oh, your ECM, your PCM is good or bad.
Right.
So you got to check everything else first. Sure, there's individual circuit tests that you could run to see if the driver is bad, but the way that you're describing it, you got to check everything else first. So I understand that's your main concern, and you should be concerned,
right.
But you got to diagnose it correctly.
Right.
Another thing you could do too is you could see if the engine runs any better on alternative fuel. So like starting fluid or propane or something like that, see if it clears up a little bit. If so, that would indicate a fuel problem.
Right.
But in short, to answer your original question, is it possible that we damage the ECM by welding the vehicle? Sure, it's possible.
Well, I'll do some checking around on it then, see if I can figure out what's going on with it. I'll first look at EGR valve and see if that clears that issue up.
Yep.
If that clears the issue up and it runs better, then it'll be something I have to look into, that flashing transmission deal.
Right.
But it's weird that overdrive light started flashing after I did this. I never had before.
Right. Another thing too, make sure the charging system is working like it should. Make sure it's not undercharging or overcharging. And you're welcome to run some tests and then just reply back online. Let me know what you find, or let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help. All right?
Yep.
All right, my friend. Good. You bet. You're welcome. Good luck.
Yep.
All right.